Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Author Zone episode with the 5 Minute Library. Today, we're super excited. We have Sudha Menon on board, and I'm going to ask Piyushi to give us a quick introduction about why she is such an amazing person and why we've been looking forward to have her on the show.
So she is a business journalist. She's had a 24-year career in that, and she's worked with multiple publishing houses such as the Times of India Group, HT Media Group, the Hindu, and has an incredible amount of books which talk about empowering women in the workplace. So she's written 6 books, and the one we will be covering today is Devi, Diva, or She Deve. Hi, Sudha. Welcome to our show.
Hi. Wonderful to be here.
So, about your book, which is all about women empowering themselves and each other in the workplace, when you wrote this book, what was the objective behind you wanting to go into a book about this?
So, if you can see this is the first book I wrote, Leading Ladies, Women Who Inspire India. I wrote this in 2010 after, this was almost the first thing I did after I quit a 24-year career in journalism. In Leading Ladies, I talked about women who are already there at the top of the pile. But one of the things that I was asked frequently over the years has been that, but those are women who are heavyweights. Those are women who are heads of companies and all of that. I said, now is the time for me to tell other women like me how they can slowly get to that place where they want to be. And it doesn't, not everybody wants to be a CEO or can be a CEO or a founder of a company, but each of us are doing something and each of us wants to take that next step forward. But whoever we are, women in boardrooms or a woman who's at the beginning of her career, we have all sort of come across the same challenges. To begin with is something like pay parity, the equal pay for equal kind of work. Then there is the thing of opportunities. Women don't get the same opportunities that men do in institutions, in organizations. How do you face that? Then there is this thing of, a woman's many roles and how it impedes her progress at work. You have an ailing mother at home, you take leave for that. You have a father who's not well, you have to take him to the doctor, you take for that. Childbirth is one of the biggest stumbling blocks for a woman. And while everybody wants a child and everybody is fulfilled, both the husband and the wife, when a child arrives, it is the woman who faces the music after that. It's her career which takes a beating. It's her, it's not just her career breaking. Like I was reading somewhere the other day, and I know for a fact that this is true, that women continue to remain poorer than a man. A woman's income and earnings continue to remain much lesser than a man, because every time there is a childbirth or, one of her nurturing roles as looking after aging parents, she takes a break and then she goes on unpaid leave. And then it is she who's paying the price for playing the role of being a nurturer at every step. And as a society and as workplace and in organizations, we have failed to budget for her. So that level of insensitivity that we display as a society and as employers, all of those things I wanted to address in this book. That's why Devi, Diva, or She Devil. My thing is that a woman has multiple labels when she becomes a career woman or just a woman. So she's a Devi when she is happy to just sit at home and serve all of the family. A Diva is when she's a boss and she just rules, she does things her way. And She Devil, of course, is a woman who wears the pants at work and refuses to take no for an answer from anybody. She's like, I want this done now. So these labels stick to a woman. Have you, it is like when a man is aggressive at work, he's just being a good boss. When a woman is aggressive at work, she's a she devil. It's as simple as that.
So I wanted to ask you, other than feminism within the workplace, what other area within this cause are you passionate about?
Look, I'm passionate about women and other genders having a choice. Now also it is other genders. We are now recognizing other genders and other choices, gender choices. So for me, it is all about choice. It is about everybody having the luxury of a choice. Now it should not even be a luxury. Everybody should have a choice. And for me, that is even, when you say intersectional, it's also like for me as a woman who's now, I'm 55 now, and almost at the beginning of my 40s, I started seeing this sort of different messages coming to me, messages which were very ageist. When I entered my mid 40s and started slowly inching towards my 50s, society started throwing messages at me which were very, very ageist. So it would be as simple as me going to a mall and asking, a salesperson for a red lipstick. I was once told by maybe a 20-year-old boy in the mall that, ma'am, brown lipstick, why don't you use brown lipstick? Red lipsticks are for younger people. It is as basic as that, how we treat people, how we treat mature women. It then on a more serious note, it begins to affect you when older women don't get the choices that the males get at the workplace. Instead, what I really see is even organizations, once women reach a certain level, you will see that subtle nudge for them to make an exit. They're offered they're offered good revenue packages to exit the company. Many places it happens that women of a certain age, after that, maybe you can take this as a lucrative offer and then you can then retire. And I'm saying that a woman of 50 doesn't want to retire. A woman of 50 is empowered. She has so much more to do in her life.
I know at your level, you are doing everything that you can to see this shift in the way organizations treat women who have more experience. But what do you organizations can do to sort of align with you and fuel this movement? What can an organization do to make women who are older feel more empowered and more involved?
So what organizations can do is to make it easier for her to be, in the workplace. And that can be any number of things. Right away, I can say is being treated equally. Women are not given the same opportunities as men. And I think an organization, and this is not just me talking, it has been world over, it has been proved that an organization which gives more equal opportunities and more leadership avenues and positions to women have far more productivity, have far more success rates in their business than organizations which don't sort of encourage women in leadership. So give women, even if it, as simple as at a meeting, like officers have endless rounds of meetings, organizations, but at this meetings, it's usually the brotherhood talking, standing up and talking, and patting each other on the back, saying, "Oh wow, what a great idea!" You don't see a woman being given a platform at all. So women mostly sit in the meetings and listen to all the brotherhood talking. So I'm saying that there has to be sensitivity that a woman gets to express her opinion also. And for women, I want to say that when you see this sort of a thing happening at a meeting where all of you have been called, I think when you see just one man standing there and taking up all the space, you can politely interrupt and say, if you're finished, I would like to add something also. And we have only so much finite time, so can I just add my thing? This is very important. Women have to voice themselves. It is simple. And you have to foster a culture at the organization where women are allowed to do this. Women have to get a space, a place, a platform. And an organization that does this will always flourish much more than the others. And, how else organizations can employ, help women to rise up the ranks? Good mentorship. Very, very important. Like if you're starting, if you're at the start of your career and you enter this large conglomerate where there are like 3,000 people working, you're just a cog there, you're just a tiny speck. But if you have a good mentor, if your organization knows that she's joined, she's bright, but she's suffering because she's lost, if that organization is sensitive, that organization will give you a mentor. And of course, one of the things that most women don't talk about, but is there, is I think it is very important for women to feel safe at the workplace. And so we do have POSH, which is supposed to sort of protect women, but I think organizations should have a zero tolerance policy about sexual harassment, sexual, any kind of intimidation of a woman. Organizations must empower women by having a zero tolerance policy about that.
I genuinely felt like your book is a mentor itself, because it talks so much about, how you can actually stand up for yourself in the workplace. So things that you may not be able to hear from someone in person, the book talks about. But my question is, which other books are you planning to write in the near future?
But I don't really know what I will write next. I never know what I'm going to write next. One day just like that, I get an idea and then I pursue that. But one of the things I'm really committed to is to write things that will positively impact people's lives. So when I wrote Legacy, it was like conversations with eminent men and women. And then I interviewed them about what are the really important things that they want for their daughter to live a contented life, a fulfilled life, a life of dignity. So, and then I wrote letters on behalf of those men and women based on my interviews with them. So that book, if you read, has so much, it has the wisdom of so many brilliant minds. It's a book I think that can be a perennial gift to a woman, to a young person. I think it is necessary for us to have that joy, that something, you pick up a book and that book should give you joy. That is what my thing is. That's why I write.
I think we can safely say the book did bring joy to us, but more than that, it felt a little weirdly comforting, because it felt like that your problems, while they are special and unique, but it's the people out there are going through the exact same things that you can relate to, and it's not just you. So it feels like a hug, like, hey, it's okay, you got this. So just a note to everyone listening, I think that's why the book is special to us. And while Sudha's life herself is a pretty great life that you can get experience from, this book has interviewed brilliant women across industries in different positions. And I think it's, like you said, a little wisdom box that'll help you out. Yeah, so definitely check out the book to all our readers and keep a lookout for whatever Sudha publishes next, because it'll be amazing. And thank you for coming to our show. Any closing notes?
No, just because it's a podcast that is more likely to be heard by men, just this little thing that always have a dream. Always have a dream, because without dreams, you won't progress in life. And never give up on your dream because somebody said that you can't do it. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, and if you wake up every morning and tell yourself that you can do exactly what you want to do, you're capable and you're bright and you're intelligent and you're empowered. No dream is too big or too small. All dreams are achievable, just if you believe in yourself.
That was so wonderful and wholesome. And on this really happy note, thank you all for listening to our episode. We're Ira and Piyushi in conversation with Sudha Menon about her new book, Devi, Diva or She Devil. And keep a lookout for this episode on all streaming platforms. Thank you. See you in 5.